Hello everyone and welcome back to another Marvel Crisis Protocol Battle Report. Today for you we have a 17 threat match in this kind of destroyed area between the Web Warriors and A-Force. And bringing back a core box mission for the first time in literally months, I think. But we'll cover that once we take a look at the two teams. So here are the 5 minis making up the Web Warriors, being led by the amazing Spider-Man, Peter Parker, although Miles is also here, but it will be this Spider-Man's affiliation bonus being used. So they can pay 1 power if enemies are nearby to inflict slow, or if they have slow, force them to do a 1 move and then remove the slow. Moon Knight is here as well, and then we have Gwen and also Black Cat, and there are tactics cards over here sadly. All webbed up: Spider Tracker, Aunt May's Wheat Cakes, Web Barrier and Brace for Impact. And here is the A-Force, 5 miniatures in this crew as well, being led by She-Hulk of course, then joined by Okoye and Shuri from Wakanda, and then we have the Wasp and Miss Marvel. I don't think Miss Marvel is actually in the A-Force roster, don't remember offhand. Either way though, she is here to help them out. And their tactics cards: A-Force Assemble, all you've got, Advanced R&D, Extreme Conditioning and Fall Back. And the two crisis cards being played: on the left is the returning Spider-Infected Invade Manhattan, that's the threat value being played. And like I said at the top of the video, pretty sure it's been months and months and months since this crisis was last on the table. There's 5 Spider-Infected, you get 1 victory point for each one you're holding in the cleanup phase. You have to pay power to interact to pick them up, you can't hold more than 1. And then during the power phase, they may force you to move small because they're trying to scramble free from your grip. And the other mission being played, the secure, is the missing witnesses, the Mayor Fisk one. 2 victory points if you're securing a witness, and then in the cleanup phase they might run away as well, range 2 as well. And people within 1 of the witness, when it finishes moving, takes 1 damage and gets stunned because they're flailing around as well. So if we pull back here, got 1 missing witness on the edge of a table there. The other one just came out of the apartment block there. And then the 5 Spider-Infected, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. This 5th one should technically be up on the banister here, but obviously it would fall, so it's slightly to the left more than it should be. So we are all set up and good to go at deployment. The Web Warriors are on your right and will be taking first activation. They opted for that side so that the other side, who has less people with Wall Crawler, Fly, etc., everyone except the Wasp, they're going to have to do climbs if they want to get onto this thing, which will slow them down a little bit. So the A-Force are stuck on the left, and we can take a look at how they're lined up. We've got Gwen and Moon Knight down here, and then the rest of them, Miles, Peter and Black Cat over there. And over here we have Miss Marvel, Okoye, Wasp, She-Hulk and Shuri up there on the end. So with that, we are ready to jump into Battle Round 1 and get this started. Moon Knight got the game started for the Web Warriors, and he just did 2 medium moves, although for his multiple personalities he rolled a crit, which actually gives him an extra action that must be a move. So he technically could have done a 3rd one if he wanted, but all he did was move here, pays 1 power to pick up the Spider-Infected, hopped the wall and stopped next to this missing witness here to start claiming her. So the only flyer on the A-Force, the Wasp, activated, and she flew up unhindered to grab the central Spider-Infected. Now if she ever shrinks down to miniature size, she of course drops any objective she's holding. So not ideal, but getting that middle objective that's the swing point for that particular crisis card, it can help early on. Gwen activated next for the Web Warriors, made use of that long movement and web crawler in order to jump up on here unhindered, pay 1 and pick up the Spider-Infected there. Everyone on the Web Warriors except Black Cat has wall crawler, including Moon Knight, although Black Cat does have a grappling hook, but that costs power. But yeah, everyone else is not going to be hindered at all. Okoye activated, and rather than climbing that central thing, she opted to use her medium moves to cut over here instead, because that didn't hinder her, and she paid 1 to pick up the Spider-Infected there. So there's 1 Spider-Infected left on the floor. It's over by the Web Warriors, and the other witness still has no one at it. Amazing Spider-Man was next up for the Web Warriors. He moves long, so could easily use 1 movement, not even the whole movement, to cover what he needed to get to the far side of that Spider-Infected. He paid 1 power and he picked it up. Now, for lack of anything better to do with his other action, and even knowing that Shuri's just going to move into position and push him back, he moved within 1 of the other missing witness there, just to currently be claiming it. But yeah, he's going to get knocked back by Shuri. Maybe not yet, but soon. Because Shuri, She-Hulk or Miss Marvel is next up, and the Web Warriors still have Black Cat and Miles Morales. And sure enough, that was an accidental pun. Not wanting to move She-Hulk or Miss Marvel in it yet, Shuri activated, used one medium move to get put into position with her range 5 Panther gauntlets such that she could shoot them into Spider-Man. Would have done 2 damage, but no matter how much damage they do, they get reduced down to 1. But it's the small push that's the big thing. So he has been pushed back small, 1 damage, and now no one is on that witness. So of the 2 remaining Web Warriors, Miles activated, and he needed both his medium moves to get into that civilian at the door. So he's going to try his best. I don't think he's got any risk from any pushes, but no, Miss Marvel probably couldn't reach him. She's probably too far away, but she does have a range 4 pull, which could be very nasty in the later rounds. So Miss Marvel medium moved into the corner over there and then had to take reduced movement to climb up, and ended up there right next to Wasp. So Felicia is being very brave. She also moves long and could easily get over to where she needed to be. She is standing where she is, both so she's helping Miles secure the civilian there, but also to block She-Hulk from just being able to double medium move to contest. So she might get hit for her trouble, might get hit badly, but I think it guarantees the Web Warriors are holding that civilian this turn. So Jennifer moved up and decided to let them have it for this turn. She instead decided to position herself next to something that she'll have enough power to chuck next turn. So they're in for a world of hurt next turn, but she has given up the civilian for now. But we can cover that in scoring, and also ahead of doing that we'll also see where the spider infected move, where the civilians end up, and any damage they deal as well. So at the end of Battle Round 1 there is a lot of damage to talk about, but honestly most of it is self-inflicted from holding objectives, which is what the Web Warriors are good at. Movement, placement, and holding objectives, because they're not that great in a fight, honestly, which doesn't bode well for when She-Hulk starts beating on people. But either way, they pulled out to a very early lead. They hold both the witnesses, which we'll cover movement of and whatnot in a second, for a total of 4 victory points, and they did nab, thanks to Gwen up here, grabbing that 3rd Spider Infected. They had 3 of those, so they're at 7 already to the 2 victory points the A-Force have for 2 witnesses as well. Sorry, 2 Spider Infected. Now keep in mind, the Spider Infected are supposed to move in the power phase, not the cleanup phase, whereas the witnesses move in the cleanup phase, so that's why one happened first. So before Moon Knight did eventually get moved over there because of his Spider Infected squirming, he was still within 1 of a moved witness, so he's taken 1 damage and stun. Gwen, Spider Infected, has moved her down here with her struggling. Wasp is the only person who did not get moved of those holding a witness. Okoye got moved backwards over here, small, and let's see, Black Cat and Miles both injured for 1 damage plus stun from the witness moving, and the Amazing Spider-Man got pushed into the corner there by his Spider Infected as well. Hang on, who was the other person? Oh yeah, Wasp, and she didn't move. Yeah, so as things stand, the Web Warriors still retain priority as we go into Battle Round 2, but this is where the hurt starts getting put on them, I think. So the first activation in Battle Round 2 for the Web Warriors was Gwen, and she made use of the Friendly Neighbourhood Spider Team affiliation bonus from Amazing Spider-Man. To pay 1 power at the start of her activation, you pick an enemy within 2, they get slow. She applied slow to Miss Marvel, I guess webbed her up or something, and then fled. Well, no, it's more of a charge actually, because she did go deeper into enemy lines. She moved long down there roughly, and then she did a spider technique on Okoye because she was within 2, and if she's advanced in her turn before doing the spider technique, after it's resolved, you get a free long medium move because Spider-Gwen is very nimble. So she only smacked her for 1, not great, but then fled back over here afterwards just to make sure that She-Hulk can't easily get her. So the sensational She-Hulk activated first for the A-Force, although I did forget to mention the affiliation bonus for the A-Force obviously kicked in when Okoye took damage. You pick another teammate, they gain 1 power. We'll probably continue to forget to mention it, but it is happening. So anyway, she started her turn by doing a sensational uppercut on Black Cat. Now Black Cat means she has the bad luck rule, so you can't modify attack dice against her, and the roll wasn't that great, so she only took 1 damage from it, but she did get slowed as well. She-Hulk then medium moved in order to secure that civilian, paid 3 for clear the court to pick up Miles and chuck her into Black Cat, and that baited out, of course, Damage spending 1 on brace for impact so that they don't suffer any damage. Got out of the way early. So Black Cat activated for the Web Warriors, and Aunt May's wheat cakes were cracked out for the team. So Web Warriors can spend 1, and those that do remove slow if they have it. and also heal 1 damage. Felicia spent 1 to remove that slow effect she just got from She-Hulk and healed 1 damage. Amazing Spider-Man paid 1 to heal 1 damage. Moon Knight paid 1 to heal 1 damage because he is part of the Web Warriors affiliation. And Miles, if I didn't already say that, paid 1 as well. So Felicia is actually the only one who still has any damage on her. She moved long to go after Okoye. She used her 4 physical attack, Cat's Claws, and literally 0 damage came in. Very unlucky for the normally lucky Black Cat. So Miss Marvel activated and making use of the power given to her when Okoye got hit, she spent 3 on Embiggen. So you place her Embiggen form within 1, which then moved at reduced speed because of slow, and ended up where it's currently placed, as you can see there. From there she did her Embiggened attack, which was called High Five, which she also has a move, a passive rather, called Polygenics or something? Morphogenics. Is that a word? It doesn't sound like a real word. Which normally lets her get some rerolls, but Black Cat doesn't let you modify attack dice if the target is smaller than her, and she counts as size 4 when she's Embiggened, so almost everyone is smaller than her. She still did really well with the roll, regardless of not being able to modify though, and did 4 damage, which is exactly enough to daze Black Cat, just like that. Unfortunately, after an Embiggened turn, she must turn back into small form, so this is now gone. She's been placed within 1, and is sitting there. So in order to try and force out a more important move elsewhere, Moon Knight activated next. He simply moved back next to the civilian, and for his other action cleared his stun. He got a hit as his multiple personalities, which would have meant he got some extra dice on an attack. No one around to hit. Bit of an awkward one to get an angle on, but the Wasp activated next for A-Force. She moved such that she is within 1 of that civilian there, and then used a size-changing smackdown on Miles. Despite its name, the size change on it is optional, so she did not shrink. She would drop the civilian she's holding. She did well against Miles. He of course had his Spider Sense rerolls, but he still managed to take 2 damage, so I think he's back up to... No, that is just the first damage he's taken after healing, so he's got like 3 health left, I think. Knowing that Miles' fate is just to get pushed away by Shuri again, probably, he activated and was hoping to be able to clear the area a little bit using his webline kicks because they have throws on wilds. So he used 1 on the Wasp, didn't get a wild, didn't get any successes at all with the first one, so he resorted to another one, and only 1 got through on that with no wild, so no throws against the Wasp, and she only took 1 damage all said and done. So he's just left sitting there. He is still contesting currently, but again, all Shuri needs to do is push him once, and it isn't impossible for her attack to do... No, wait, no, it is, because the push is regardless of damage. So Miles' fate is already sealed one way or the other. So Shuri did not activate next. I guess she's going last, because Okoye did. She moved a little bit closer to Gwen and then fired a Vibranium Spear Blast at her. It managed to do 1 damage, poor Gwen not having Spider Sense. Sucks, but either way, 1 damage done to her. So knowing that Shuri's got a very good chance of making sure that the civilian at the top of the map there is held by the A-Force, Amazing Spider-Man moved long to where you can see him, and then just did his basic range 3 5 dice web strike on Wasp, because she is holding a civilian, so there is a reason to take her down as opposed to trying to fight She-Hulk and just feed her a lot of power. So he managed to do 2 to her with that. Sadly did not get the momentum which will let him move further, and maybe also do another one on She-Hulk just for the power generation. But no, so I think Wasp is on 3 damage now, so she's got 2 health left. So Shuri blasted her Panther Gauntlets into Miles, knocked him back, and did manage to do the 1 base damage. It actually just did 1 damage. It reduces to 1 if it does more, but still got the push. So that civilian is secure for this turn, so she instead opted to come over here to start causing trouble for Gwen and Black Cat next turn. And that does take us to the scoring of Battle Round 2. So we're at the end of Battle Round 2, and this is a very, very high scoring game. Battle Round 3 might be the final turn, depending on how things play out. It certainly helps that Moon Knight is down here by himself generating 3 victory points a turn, but he held that civilian. The other civilian was held by the A-Force. The Web Warriors hold 3 of the 5 Spider Infected. Obviously the A-Force have the other 2, which means as we go into Battle Round 3, Web Warriors rather, they hold priority still. They're at 12 of the 16 required to win, victory points wise, and A-Force is up to 6. Now they made gains there, but none of them can really get over to this flank to stop Moon Knight generating 3, which would put them at 15 of 16. So all they need to do is somehow survive over here with 1 victory point, and it'll actually be a win at the end of turn 3, which is pretty incredible because Web Warriors haven't had a good track record on the channel. There is quite a few of them close to being dazed, and of course Black Cat is dazed. And in terms of where people got moved by the spider infected, again, although that happens in the power phase, Okoye was the only one who got moved. The only one who rolled a hit crit or a wild, she got moved that way a little bit. The civilian hit Moon Knight again for 1 damage, re-stunned him. She-Hulk and Wasp got hit by this one and took 1 damage and were stunned, which means the Wasp is 1 away from going down entirely and getting dazed. And I think that covers about everything. So with that, let's go into Battle Round 3 and see how things shake out. So the Amazing Spider-Man was the first to activate for the Web Warriors, and I think that he has Sherlocked a way to make sure that there's no way the Web Warriors can lose. We're still going to play out the entire turn to see how things shake out, but I don't think they can be stopped now with the turn he opted to use Extreme Cowardice, but for the right reasons. He spent 3 power to start his turn on All Webbed Up, so enemies within 3, within 3. 3 power, enemies within 3 suffer slow. If a Web Warrior attacks a person who's slowed this turn, they get 2 extra dice on the attack roll. So he slowed down Wasp and She-Hulk there, and then double long moved right over here. So he's within 1, so he's helping cap the civilian here. He's holding a civilian, Moon Knight's holding a civilian, so that is 2, 3, 4 victory points. So if this situation over here doesn't change, they've already won. I don't think it can change, and even if it did, Gwen is still holding a civilian, although she's at risk, and that's it for them. But Gwen is the other point, and I guess if she goes down next, there's maybe a chance, but probably not. So it's been a very high scoring match. Again, we're still going to play it this turn, but I don't think they can be stopped anymore. Wasp activated and used her basic range 3 attack on Miles, managed to get 2 damage through, and it has dazed him, which probably means that she's safe holding that civilian despite being on 1 HP. But she did spend 3 power on A-Force Assemble, and it does something different to the Avengers one. A-Force character spends 3 whenever an allied character is defending against an attack for this entire round, the rest of this round, by which it means battle round. You get 1 extra defense dice for every A-Force character within 2. So it's a very good defensive card. Probably won't make a difference to the outcome, but it's extra protection for her, I guess. Well, it may be cowardice, but when playing to win, Gwen activated and she long moved twice. Over here, she's holding a civilian, she's helping secure the... she's holding a spider infected. She's helping secure the witness there. And, yeah, cowardice, but if playing to win, the spider... I keep wanting to say spider foes. The Web Warriors, they got too big of a head start on turn 1 with being able to just snatch up the spider infected, that they got too much control early on. I honestly thought they would have got smacked into the ground, but, well, that still might happen, but by that time it does, it's too late. So who doesn't love a bit of spiteful violence? She-Hulk moved down here, did a sensational uppercut on Black Cat for 3 damage. She then paid 3 for clearing the court, picked up the size 3 shipping container there, and dropped it on her head. It did 2 damage. Felicia is out of there. Not that it makes a difference, but again, spiteful satisfaction. All the high adrenaline moves coming from the Web Warriors. Moon Knight activated and then immediately unactivated. Guess technically he could have cleared his stun, but he's flexing and choosing not to. So with only Miss Marvel and Okoye left, there is nothing else for the A-Force to do really, because slowed she isn't going to be able to make anything. Double medium move gets Okoye right there, not close enough to contest or attack, nor are any of them close enough to death that she's, well, she could spike against Gwen, I guess. But that isn't going to make a difference, so we're going into scoring, and yeah, it's been a while since it has happened before, but it has been a while. It's a turn 3 game over. So let's make this formal then. The A-Force have 2 of the Spider infected for 2 victory points. They also, via the Wasp, hold the civilian up there for 4, getting them to 10, which is fair for a turn 3 score, but again, that first turn swing for the Web Warriors just was too much to catch up to. They have 3 of the civilians. They have, 3 of the spider infected. They have this civilian. They gained 5. They only needed to gain 4, so they technically went to 17. So then to turn 3, 17 plays 10. The game is over. Web Warriors win. So we've just been looking at the board state and trying to work out like what the A-Force did wrong and what could have made a bigger difference earlier on. And I think the Web Warriors getting to choose deployment definitely helped. And snatching up the spider infected, this spider infected that was up here, and the middle one, turn 1, Because if they didn't get those two, like if the E-Force had positioned a bit better to grab this one up here, the middle one is in flux, but that still would have been an extra point back to them, one away from the Web Warriors. Whichever side She-Hulk was going on was the side where they'd have trouble, the Web Warriors that is, because they're not super tanky, they aren't that great at dodging, honestly. Well, Amazing Spider-Man is, but that's because he gets full rerolls on his defense. But she was the largest threat. Miss Marvel potentially with the pull someone out of position, get them ganged up on. Didn't happen because of positioning with this middle bit here. Wasp did better, but not enough on her own, and utterly ignoring this flank was probably the biggest mistake. Miss Marvel and Okoye were here, so they were going to go round at the start of the match. As it played out, they didn't have. Well, there was more reason for them to go up here, I guess. Take the objective there, because Wasp grabbed the middle objective, if I remember rightly. So there was more reason for her to be there. But Miss Marvel and Okoye, they might have been able to gang up on Moon Knight, because he was kind of by himself once Gwen was up there, because Gwen ran down here to play with Okoye. But yeah, utterly ignoring the right flank and assuming ownership, that they'd get ownership of this left side fast enough to make a difference. That was the mistake. They needed to, I don't know, She-Hulk, Wasp this side, everybody else this side, and just push up the flanks. That probably would have had more success. But either way, yeah, that was a short one. Hope you enjoyed. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you in the future for another. Until then, ta-ta for now.